Greetings, one and all. This is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. If this is your first time on our channel, please take time to like and subscribe. If you're returning, welcome back. So today I wanted to do a brief post. Well, first of all, please note every Saturday at noon Eastern Standard Time, we have a podcast or a live session. I chose to do a session today because something interesting, amazing popped up relative to the semi. So what that is that the Daimler, or in this case Tesla's semi-truck, am I sideways? Is that better or no? I was trying to go for the landscape rather than portrait, but I guess that's not going to work out. Nope. You're sideways now? No? Now? Let's try this again. Sorry about that, guys. I was trying to go for the landscape, but it sometimes does not cooperate. So, what I wanted to cover today is the fact that there's some big news on the... I'm sideways now. Okay. I'm trying here to get this right, but we'll go for it, and then I'll look forward to your notes if there's any problems still. So what I wanted to review today is the fact that the new semi has been spotted in a place called Sacramento, California. Why this is important to note is the fact that Sacramento, California is about midpoint between the gigafactory and the Fremont factory for Tesla. So why this is big is that the vehicle was spotted by itself in that place. So to my knowledge, there is no supercharger sitting in Sacramento for the truck to charge up on. So the fact of the matter is that the truck literally made it to Sacramento by itself and can go all the way to the gigafactory, including the mountainous passes and the additional energy it takes to climb mountains, given that the regenerative braking is in place. So I think this is a big session this is big news for three reasons. The first reason is most of the video we've seen, both in Los Angeles and in Sunnyvale, I've tried landscape unsuccessfully, so that's why I went back to this. So why this situation is really important, there are three reasons. Reason number one, most of the sightings have been of the truck in positions that were very close to their chargers. So what that means is that you don't know how far the truck can go because it's within 10 miles of where the charging facilities are, and therefore it's possible that it can't do its actual range, and therefore the whole sort of range issue is still in question. To have the vehicle in Sacramento about 100 miles away from the factory and another, let's say, 150 miles from the gigafactory suggests that indeed this vehicle can make the run by itself. The second bit of information is that when you see the vehicle, you'll notice that there are no additional battery packs needed to make that distance run. The third component of this is that this confirms the fact that we are, greetings from Sweden. This also confirms the facts that there's a bunch of sort of bad sort of Tesla vibe out there. And what this Tesla vibe is about is, first of all, that truck can't go 500 miles prior to a charge. Now, this Sacramento run all the way to the gigafactory says that, and greeting from South Africa, this Sacramento run from the gigafactory to Fremont by the trucks is impressive because we're now in the mode where they're not starting to haul parts between the two places yet. They're doing dry runs to make sure there's no problems with the truck. But as soon as they start hauling car parts between the two factories, that'll be the sign that absolutely everything works. The battery works, the truck works, everything. So at this point, I believe that we're in an amazing, brilliant time for electric vehicles and electric trucks because they're able to do this. The next thing I wanted to cover is the fact that I put on the thumbnail for this the whole idea that this is a complete disaster for Daimler-Benz. And the reason I wanted to say that is that when you look at the pricing, Daimler's current truck that carries, call it 40,000 pounds, or it's a 40,000 pound truck, inclusive of cargo, costs, this is just cost for them, it's about $200,000. Tesla has a truck that's a full 18-wheeler that total weight is 80,000 pounds on the road, and they're charging less than what Mercedes or Daimler-Benz is charging. Now, as you'll notice that I frequently reference what's going on with Daimler-Benz, and the reason is that Daimler has put billions of dollars to work trying to catch up with Tesla, and they are the largest seller of trucks in the world. So for Tesla to make a run in this fashion is pretty amazing. I agree with you. If you look at it, the side mirrors were also on this vehicle, and they had to do side mirrors, I believe, because you're not allowed in California to operate a commercial vehicle of this type without having side mirrors. So I did think it was interesting as well to see them add that. It does hurt their aero and probably will hurt the mileage slightly. The next thing I wanted to cover is that one of the former heads of trucking at Daimler pointed out that the segment of the market that current Daimler trucks is targeting is about 10% of the trucking market in the size 6 and size 7 or 7 categories. Class 8 is what Tesla's going after, and 90% of the freight is moved in the Class 8 space. That's why this is so significant that the truck first came out and that it's currently performing as well. The next sort of threshold for us to get to is at about 100,000 vehicles, and unfortunately that's towards the end of the year, the way the numbers are going. If the battery pack is the same for the Model 3 as it is for the truck, once we get to scale on the Model 3 where Tesla's making money on those batteries, the truck will all of a sudden arrive at the price point we described as well. So one of my eager points is to see us go from 500 a week production to 1,000 a week production. And this gets Tesla closer to the break-even and profitability zone when it comes to scale build of what they're doing with the Model 3. So the other sort of point that one could make here is, why is it such a big deal that the truck is actually working? And the answer is that according to some material I read, I think it was on electric.co, it was announced that the Koch brothers have been putting $10 million a year in advertising in to help suggest stories about the non-viability of Tesla, and the goal being to help or try to destroy them. And there have been methods used by competitors to do other techniques, but this is the first confirmed opportunity I've seen that basically says that Tesla truly is fighting a battle against some large, big oil, other auto companies, etc. situations. So I'm also intrigued by the fact that Tesla has chosen to operate in a somewhat shady position. And what I mean by a shady position is that Tesla is reluctant to release details, particularly on the truck, to those that are not buyers, because every detail about the truck represents a competitive advantage for Tesla, and every other company out there that needs to replicate what they've done needs to get a hold of the truck, take it apart, so they can be ready for the competitive threat, and Tesla is not allowing that. So it could suggest that the truck doesn't work, but when you see it on the road in motion in this fashion, it makes it clear that it is working. And there are a couple other details that are interesting about it, which is if you look at the photos, you'll notice there's no support vehicles. So they've been running this vehicle hard enough to know that they actually don't need to have other vehicles trailing it to make sure it doesn't break down or it's incapable of meeting sort of the run that it's supposed to. So That's another item I thought was really amazing, to see it going long distance without a support vehicle or any other means to help the truck if there's a problem. So I'm sure it's being monitored carefully on GPS, etc. But the fact that they're able to run that cleanly is mind-blowing. Final thing I wanted to cover is something I think is amazing about Daimler-Benz, and that is that the head of their trucking facility recently announced that they know exactly what's going to happen in terms of being able to put a battery in a truck. They've got that part down of it. But he actually announced that they're actually having a problem because they don't know what happens to a battery after 4 years. And this was a kind of a shock to me, because Daimler-Benz is one of the biggest companies in the world, very profitable, etc. But they don't have a research back end for their initiatives relative to electricity. In the case of Tesla, their affiliation, I believe, with York University in Toronto allows them to use the expertise of their sort of research unit in that form to actually define what things do look like after 4 or 5 years. Hence, the 1,000,000-mile guarantee that Tesla is offering to the semi buyers can be offered, because bottom line is that they design, build, and test that kind of mileage on that battery or battery pack. And the fact of the matter is that Daimler's sophistication in this space does not include, in essence, putting 5 to 8 or 9 years worth of work on those batteries so that they can anticipate where things are going. So the final note on this, and it's sort of a Daimler-Benz note, is that Daimler actually built a factory to produce batteries in a place called Kamenz, I believe, in northern Germany. And they had to shut that plant down in 2014. That was actually building batteries because it was losing so much money. They're now building a new $546 million facility that's 4 times the size. And they've got a two-pronged approach going. One is they're building this plant. 2, they purchased half of a Korean battery producer that will be producing most of the cells. And Daimler is actually going to skip the cell production part for now and simply buy the cells from their Korean subsidiary, and then all the rest of what it takes to create that battery will be done in Germany. Their goal is to try to repatriate or keep the jobs associated with building out these electricity facilities. But I think it's sad that they don't sort of have their electric stuff well enough together that they can indeed produce batteries within Germany, keep both the jobs, etc. One last note that I will be diving more into in some other posts that you'll see me do is the fact that I ran into one of the people that designed the battery for the Model 3. He worked on the thermal casings for the batteries. And I learned sort of from him that there's actually a secret product that battery-wise that Tesla's going to be coming out with. And obviously it's not going to be a worse battery than previously. It'll be a better one. Tesla has said that they're improving everything about the battery by at least 5% each year. And I think that this is a further disaster for all the competitors out there that are thinking about competing with Tesla. And basically what the disaster is that you already have a battery that's, 1/3 the price or cost of competitive products. And you're destroying other companies that can't compete with you already. And now you're going to be coming out with a new battery that further takes that along the road. What I anticipate happening based on the numbers we saw on the Roadster as well as on the semi-truck is that Tesla has the freedom, because battery production is in-house, to, just like automobiles, run different types of batteries that are specified to different types of vehicles down that line. So I think this, again, is an unfortunate circumstance for competitors, because all of a sudden you also have the problem of the fact that, Tesla has their own battery line, and unlike competitors that have to order batteries from Korea or other places that are restricted in terms of the type of battery that they get, Tesla can change up battery configurations on the line on different days or different shifts, and therefore optimize what that battery and battery pack does depending on the vehicle that it's going into. So I think this is a further disaster for sort of everybody concerned. This kind of leaves one final note that I'm sort of blown away by, and that is that I met someone who was working with GM, and they were translating the documents relative to batteries for the Korean LG engineers, so that the domestic engineers at GM could read, what the specs were. And they had selected this Korean manufacturer because of their experience building batteries for laptops. What was interesting about it is basically Tesla has developed a design optimization that focuses on cars/trucks, and which is a completely different environment than dealing with laptops. So I'm just blown away by the fact that Tesla can enter a field with smart enough people to go ahead and deliver a new battery in, I guess it's probably a 4-year time period, that is superior to what people sort of working on battery production for 10 or 15 or 20 years were unable to do, and are still unable to catch up with them on, based on the innovations that Tesla is doing. So bottom line is, again, I think this is an exciting time for Tesla. The Semi looks legit. It looks good going long distance. The next step is seeing it on the mountain passes at 7,000 feet, and then hooking a trailer to that with car parts are sort of the next 2 stages of what we'll see to confirm that we're in good shape and rolling. I just wanted to sort of finally note that, all of those who were Tesla fans and looking forward to how they're going to sort of change the future, rest assured there's some exciting stuff happening. I think the truck is way bigger than the cars because, there's all these sort of interesting things happening, including in Toronto, they're offering $75,000 discounts to those using those electric trucks. And so there's a lot of really cool stuff to cover here, and look forward to covering it in the future. And we have some sort of interesting next class things that we'll be covering as we enter our noon session on Saturday. So again, big news: Sacramento, California, 100 miles away from the main factory, 150 miles away from the gigafactory, especially if you go over the mountains. And the Semi is flowing nicely, no breakdowns, and is showing that Tesla does know what it's doing, and it's going to put a serious hurting on competitors out there. Last quickie note that I still can't figure out, and I'm clueless on this one, is the fact that this company called BYD, that's a Chinese company, they're offering a truck that goes 100 miles, and I believe their price tag on that thing is $300,000. So I'm kind of shocked by this, because Tesla could use the battery packs from one 500-mile truck to create actually 2 trucks, because there are a lot of applications where a 200-mile, 225, 250-mile zone is adequate, and there is no need for the extra. And they could charge $300,000 per vehicle with those 2 split vehicles, and the buyers would be happy to pay. And that's mind-blowing, crazy. So I could go on. Really appreciate all of you taking time out to listen in. Keep an eye out for what's going on with Tesla. Reed Avenue on Highway 80 in Sacramento. I may put that as the location marker on the map. I think they did that at Electrek. But take a look at the distance to the Gigafactory and the distance to Fremont from a place called Reed Avenue on Highway 80 in Sacramento. And guess what? Daimler and nobody else in the world has a semi-truck that can make that run. And Tesla does, and is about to start selling a lot of them to smart buyers who recognize all the benefits of switching to electric, with the first starter being you get 20 miles effective gallon versus 5 to 7. That is the case without pollution. So again, I'm looking forward to all of your Q&A, your questions afterwards. Please take time to like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss anything. This is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. Tschüss, mach's gut, au revoir, lehitrahoot. Please support us on Patreon. We'd love to be able to sort of ramp up and do more. And have a great day and look forward to our next conversation.